NFL, where the winners of the conference championships this weekend will head to the Super Bowl. First up on Sunday is the AFC matchup between Drake May and the New England Patriots against the Denver Broncos. Broncos star quarterback Bo Nix will not be playing after he broke his ankle in last week's thriller in overtime against the Bills. Then later, Matthew Stafford will lead the LA Rams into Seattle for the NFC title game against the Seahawks. Those teams split their regular season games one apiece. And Super Bowl 60, by the way, will be played Sunday, February 8th at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. We'll be doing a special show from there live. Joining me now is Fox Sports analyst Rachel Nichols, one of the best people in the country to talk sports with. Welcome back to The Story Is.
Thank you, sir.
So we'll get to the NFL stuff in a moment, but first we're going to spill some tea. So let's get to what's going on with the Los Angeles Lakers. There was this story that Baxter Holmes put out on ESPN this week that talked about Jeanie Buss, who has owned the Lakers for years. The Buss family has owned the Lakers for years, and sort of some of the elbowing she's been doing behind the scenes. What was sort of the basic takeaway from that story?
Look, I think Baxter Holmes is a fantastic reporter. He's always really well-sourced and solid. So a reporter can only report what your sources tell you. The sources, to me, all of the material in that piece, or at least a lot of it, had a lot of coded language. If you're a woman in sports, you're just kind of used to hearing stuff like this. Gosh darn it, Jeanie wasn't nice enough. She wasn't nice enough, Alex. And like, you think about the fact that two of her older brothers literally tried to stage a coup against her and get the board to oust her as governor. Her two younger brothers were talking about structuring their own sale of the team, and that their father really wanted to leave the team to them, even though he named Jeanie the governor and lead person in his will. I mean, this was a sea of sharks all the way around. She navigated it and got each sibling $500 million in this sale. And it just feels, when you read the story and you hear people talk about her, that if this was a man, she would be no nonsense or even ruthless, but in the good way, like the Titan of Industry way. And instead, it's that she wasn't nice.
A lot of sexism.
Just wasn't nice.
Yeah. And what's your experience with Jeanie been like over the years?
I think Jeanie's fantastic. I think I've been privy to a lot of the stuff she's dealt with, and I think it's been very, very impressive. And look, running the LA Lakers in this town is no easy task. I think she's selling at the right time. And obviously, you know, there was some stuff about LeBron in that story as well.
Let's talk about that. So there's not direct quotes, but basically saying that Jeanie was kind of annoyed at LeBron James, that he was not more grateful to her for signing him, signing his son, Bronny, kind of doing the Russell Westbrook deal, and then pretending that he had nothing to do with the Russell Westbrook deal. There were no direct quotes there. LeBron was asked about it, said that he didn't care, and they asked him, are you going to end the season in LA? And he said, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not quite sure what that meant.
I'm good.
How do you read into what's going on with LeBron?
Look, I don't know if in 8 years you've ever grumbled, which is the word that was used in the story, to a friend or family member about anyone you've worked with. I mean, I know a lot of people out there can't say that they've never done that. You know, so look, LeBron is a strong presence, and he is a strong presence on purpose. He is literally the face of the player empowerment movement. If you are taking power as a player, you are taking it from the team owners. He has been more of a equal partner relationship with the teams that he has been on, as opposed to, oh yeah, I'm going to shut up and dribble, I'm going to just play basketball. And so that comes with, if you're having a working relationship with two sides having a lot of power, that sometimes comes with people being annoyed at each other. I am pretty sure if LeBron's phone was tapped, we would hear him being annoyed at the Lakers sometimes. It happens.
He's annoyed publicly at the Lakers sometimes if he watches press conferences.
We've heard it before. So again, a little bit of this. And again, the story was reported impeccably. This isn't about the writer. It is about the people who are making such a mountain out of all of this. And it's a shame to me that this has been the headline out of all of it, because actually, look, I covered LeBron in Cleveland. I covered LeBron in Miami. This partnership with the Lakers has been his most successful owner-player relationship of his entire career.
And the longest,
And
too.
the longest.
8 years. So he's not going to be traded, right?
Well, he has a no trade clause.
Right.
So he's only traded if he wants to be. It's really about the end of the season and what happens to him. There are three options, and everybody in the league knows it. One option is he re-signs with the Lakers at a much lower price because they've got to give money to other people and they're building around Luka Doncic. Second option, He just retires. He retires as a Laker. He goes out into the sunset. Everyone applauds him. He gets his jersey up in the rafters, etc. Third option, and this is the least likely, but it's still out there, is that he goes to another team and plays next year. And of course, the Cavaliers are a natural sort of talking point. They'd have to rip up a lot of their team to put him on there, and we'll have to see if they're interested or he's interested.
Yeah, he makes $50 million right now, and there's not a lot of teams that want to pay a 42-year-old $50 million, so we'll see. Let's talk football real quick.
Yeah, man.
NFC, AFC Championship. Let's start with the NFC Championship. Rams, Seahawks, what are you looking for?
Dude, I mean, this is so close. The two games they played this season have been decided at the last seconds. This is going to be a fantastic matchup. The defense in Seattle really evokes the Legion of Boom, right? And Matthew Stafford on the Rams side is probably the MVP. So you really have a rock, meeting the hard place. And I will say that right now, Seattle is the best home field advantage in the league. So I expect that to be a really noisy game as well.
The
and hard to
12th man,
call.
as they call it
Yeah,
there.
the 12s.
Meanwhile, in Denver, they don't have their quarterback as they face off against Drake May and the Patriots.
And Drake May has been phenomenal for a young quarterback. He's already drawing comparisons to Tom Brady, including by Tom Brady.
By Tom Brady, and said it himself this week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, the only nibble you can pick with him is he has been a bit turnover prone in the playoffs. And he said this week that he is practiced ball security and getting the ball out of his hands faster, having a faster clock in his head. The Broncos defense is no joke. And the quarterback replacing Bo Nix, Jared is a veteran quarterback. He's one of the first guys that Sean Payton went out and got. I know he hasn't played a regular season game in 2 years.
One snap this year.
But for a guy in that position, he is probably the most experienced you could get. He had 2 phenomenal games this preseason. The team has complete confidence in him, which is sometimes the most important part.
It's going to be really interesting to see. So who wins the Super Bowl?
We'll have to see who gets there first. I do think the NFC winner will have the advantage in the Super Bowl.
All right. Rachel Nichols, you're the best. Fox Sports, have a great weekend. We're all going to be watching sports. And our friends on the East Coast are going to be hunkered down watching sports.
What do you want to do? Stay inside and watch football.
After the break, we got quite a story. You got to stay tuned for this. We introduced